Hello, everybody. Today I am trying out graphite putty for the first time. The graphite putty that I have, it is from Viarco, Portugal. It's called Art Graf, and it is a water-soluble, kneadable graphite putty. And I'm very curious because some people told me that they don't like it and that it dries out too fast. And of course, now I can't open the container. This is really bad. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Oh dear, look at that. It's already really messy. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, it's pretty soft, but it's not really like a kneaded eraser. Oh, wow. Okay, when I do that, it does have this sort of greenness to it. Oh, weird. But it's also very slick. Like I just pushed my finger across it and it was pretty slick, but you can see it is sort of chunky, but also really smooth at the same time. Oh, wow, this is going to be really, really messy. Okay. I'm just going to do that. Well, maybe I should get a bigger chunk out. Let's see. Okay, let's keep that sealed since people told me it dries out really fast. Oh my gosh, this is horrific. I also have graphite powder. This is from Kremer Pigment in New York City. And this one I've never used before. The graphite powder I have used in the past is this one called Graphite Powder by Generals. So we're going to try out some of those materials. And then I also have a graphite stick here by Cretacolor. This is graphite by Generals. And I think this woodless pencil is from Faber-Castell, but I could be wrong. I also have a foam brush and a regular brush. This can be really fun to use when you're smushing graphite around. Okay, let's just try the graphite putty totally by itself. Hello, everybody. Pagarami and Janice, could you guys tell me if my sound is okay? I was having issues with my mic yesterday. Okay, I'm going to smush this together sort of like a kneaded eraser. You can see it's already making quite a bit of a mess. Let's just try making... Oh, weird. It's pretty smooth. Let me try building it up. Part of this is that I'm using watercolor paper because I want to try what it's like later on. And so I would assume on a smoother paper, you wouldn't get this type of texture. Let me see what happens if I make it into a sharper point. I mean, one thing I notice is it doesn't hold together very well, which I was sort of hoping. So as I'm making the mark, this is a piece that I compressed. Oh, good. Thank you very much. I'm glad my mic is working today. Okay. So if I make a stroke, I mean, it's already sort of falling apart. So that's one thing, is that as a putty, I don't find it to be that strong. Like if I really, like you see, it's already sort of crumbled. So that actually makes me wonder if maybe it's better as a smaller piece. Oh man, it is so crumbly. Ugh, I don't know that this is... I was really hoping it would be like a kneaded eraser, but graphite. Although, oh my gosh, it's so crumbly. I mean, it feels like pie crust. Oh man, it's, yeah, look at that. Oh, what a mess. Okay, I can tell you that if you don't like messy things, this is not the material for you. Let me just do a really... Oh, actually, it's really good for that. So if I want to put down a big area of tone, that actually worked really well. So let me hold this up. And you guys can see I am getting something that fills the page very quickly, which is one thing that I think is difficult to do with graphite. Let me try. It could be the paper. Okay, it's not really working with the foam brush. Let me show you guys the difference. So if I have graphite powder, this is from Generals, and I just take a little bit here. Just make the comparison. Oh yeah, the graphite powder, it's way more smooth. Okay, so I would say if you want like a soft background, the graphite powder is a better mix. The putty has a rather coarse quality when it comes down to doing tone. Let me try my brush. Sometimes it's a little easier with something like this. But over here, you can see I'm using the brush and nothing's really happening. Let me just label this. So this is graphite powder plus foam brush. Okay, let's see what happens if I make the putty wet. I'm going to be sort of conservative about it. And tell me in the chat, how many people here have never heard of graphite powder? And how many people here have tried it? And if you have, what's been your take? I want to see just how... You can get pretty dark. I mean, that didn't take very long. But I would say right now my pet peeve is that it keeps crumbling, which I think would be difficult to do if I really want control over the graphite. Okay, so let's try the water. Oh. Oh, wow. Oh, it's really nice. Oh, wow, look at how dense that is. Oh, maybe if it's more like I build it up a lot. And then, oh, wow, that's really intense. But the thing is, at this point, I feel like I might as well just use liquid charcoal. You can see up close that it does get pretty brushy. And here, I layered up a lot. And you can see it activates really, really well. Just try it on maybe up here. I just want to see what it looks like if I put like a very thin wash. Okay, so I would say this is sort of similar to liquid charcoal, except of course, being graphite, there's a different color. I find that charcoal tends to be a little bit more bluish, and that the graphite putty seems to have a warmth to it. It's a little bit more brown in color. Okay, let me work some of this on top. Oh, that's nice. Oh, let me try that again. Okay, so I put down water. Oh, this is really wet. Let me do it on the other spot, maybe up here. Oh, that's, oh, I might use that. Maybe wet the paper first. Oh, nice. Oh, it glides. Okay, I need something to help pick this up. Jeez, it's such a mess. All right, so what I did here is I took the putty and, oh, I guess it has to be like wet. Let me try over here. Okay, so it seems like it's pretty fun if you have wet surface. That was more fun than just putting it down. Okay, let's see what that looks like up close. I mean, that's a very rich graphite. And then here's the putty. But I can tell you at this stage, I feel like I might as well just use charcoal, because my issue with graphite is that it does have a sheen to it, which can sometimes make things very difficult to photograph. Let's see what people are saying in the chat, and let me know your questions about this material. This is by Viarco, Portugal. And the link to this supply is in the video description below. So Janice says, use it like fingerprints. I mean, it's not that smudgy. I mean, I blame some of that on my paper, which is sort of textured, but this is really, I mean, this is still work. I feel like the fun part of this would be more in the wet part. That part is pretty cool, but as far as drawing, I can't imagine that I would use this by itself. I don't think I'd be able to get any control over that. Yeah, Verolina, some people don't like the feeling of certain materials on their hands, and so a lot of people will wear gloves. I guess for me, if I wore gloves, because I don't have a sensory issue with it, is that I'd worry that the glove would get in the way of me making a more sensitive mark. Is asking, what kind of brushes do you use for blending graphite and charcoal? Okay, if I was using graphite powder, which is this, and I wanted to just do a very, very soft background, I would use it with a foam brush. The thing about the foam brush is that it's really, really smooth. A brush like this one, I mean, this is a pretty smooth brush, but any brush which wasn't really soft, you would be able to see visible strokes. But the foam brush is like if you want a really nice, just soft surface. But really, you could use any brush. There's no particular type of brush. It's just what is the visual result that you're trying to get with the brush. Shinny is asking, is the putty oily? Let me see. Oh, see, it keeps crumbling. It's not oily, but if I take a chunk and I do this, like just stroke it, like that definitely feels very, very soft and very slick, actually. So you can see I'm making a little fingerprint. You can see how shiny that is. Intellectual says, graphite is conducive when it hits water. Wonder what happens when it gets hit with EMF waves. Oh, I don't know what that is. If you could follow up and let me know, I'd love to hear. Pagarami says, I feel like with the putty, you could get some really interesting marks for lithography. You could, but it wouldn't process. That's the issue, is that the way lithography works, for those of you who don't know, it's based on the concept that oil and water don't mix. And there's a whole chemical process with acids and lithographic crayons, which are very greasy. Oh, soak it in water. Oh, weird. Okay, let's try it. I mean, I think this is going to be horribly disgusting. Let's just see. Oh my God, that's really gross. It's so gross. But I guess what I could do with this. Oh, whoa. Did you guys see that? Oh my God, that was really intense. Oh, maybe this is more like wet charcoal. Let's try that again. Oh, okay. I could see myself doing some more finger type strokes. Oh, that I like. Good idea. Yeah, because over here, it's a little thick, actually. I wonder if it'll flake off. Let me try that. Okay, so I would say this is more similar to wet charcoal in that I like it. Oh, wow. Okay, this is definitely finger painting. Look at that. And actually here, I'm just wetting it with a wet finger. Okay, I could see that. really working. Oh my God, this is so messy. So anybody here who doesn't like mess, this is not the material for you. I'm going to assume Jordan would not like this technique because it's really gross. Oh my God, this is going to take days to get out of my hands. So Berolina uses art graph, water-soluble graphite in a stick and on a little tin. Lyra also has water-soluble crayons 2B to 9B. These work well for me because I don't like getting my hands dirty. Yes, I can't remember if this one, this Cretacolor, I don't know if this one is water-soluble, but it's an 8B. And I haven't done a lot with water-soluble sticks. This is more my thing. Anne is saying perhaps hot press paper would be better suited, wet the whole paper and then work in layers. Guess what? I do have some hot press paper. So let me take a minute and go get it off my shelf. And while I do that, you guys can take a look at our fall offerings for workshops, because the workshops are a great opportunity for you to work with me. In a small group setting, the workshops are limited to 12 people per session, and so you get a lot of individual attention, which I'm finding is not actually that common in online workshops. Oftentimes it's just the more people, the better. So I can't find hot press. Let's just use Bristol, because I know Bristol is very, very smooth. Maybe it'll give us that. Okay, let's try wetting the paper first. Do that up here. And let's get a little bit of the putty. Oh my gosh, that's really, really rich. Whoa, that really is like painting. Oh, okay, I think I like it better on this surface. Oh, that's really nice. Look at the gradients. But it does, I'm trying to see how quickly it dries. Yeah, it does dry pretty fast. And this time I'm going to wet the putty itself. Okay, so that's pretty coarse. And now let me do some wet brush work. So I would say a lot like wet charcoal, but the difference is that the putty is really soft. Whereas wet charcoal, you're really using a chunk of charcoal. I do like it with the paper wet. I feel like that's a very good application. And actually, of course, where are my erasers? Oh, here they are. Let me see what happens if I... Oh my gosh, it does not... Wait, is that because it's wet? I feel like it didn't erase very well. Let me try that again. So, okay, let's just put down some tone. I want to see how well it erases. Oh my gosh, it's so bad at erasing. Look at that. Oh my gosh, look at that. Do you see this? I just put down the graphite putty and I put an eraser through it and it is not erasing. So if you compare that against, let's say, the graphite powder, I'm just going to do a little bit down here, and you can see it's really soft, the graphite powder. Okay, now if I put my eraser through that, you can see here, this is graphite powder. It's very, very fine. And I put my eraser straight through it. Now over here with the putty, I put my eraser through it and it didn't do anything. Okay, that's enough for me to not really want to use it, because I'm somebody who really, really likes drawing with an eraser. So I guess if I were using the graphite putty, I'd have to remember that the eraser can't be a significant part of my tools, because this is one of the reasons why I really like graphite powder, is you can just do really visible eraser strokes. I'm going to try it again because I sort of can't believe how bad it is, the eraser. I mean, I just did this, but I'm pressing super hard, and that's not great. So let's just try the kneaded eraser. I'm going to guess it's not going to be good either because the kneaded eraser is so weak. Oh my God, the kneaded eraser does like nothing to the graphite putty. Okay, so you can see here, this is kneaded eraser on graphite powder. That is kneaded eraser, it doesn't do anything. Okay, so if I was using erasers with the putty, I would use this, but I would know that it would still come out pretty textured because this is as smooth as you get. This is Bristol board. So I'm curious, those of you who are in the chat, so far, does it look like you would try this or not? Pagarami says, so there's no oil-based binder in the putty. I'm not sure. And you know something? I'm kind of annoyed that they put these labels on top of the back and I couldn't get them off. So if somebody wants to look it up and see what kind of binder is used in the putty, that would be super helpful. Oh, so Berolina mixes it with watercolors. Anna's asking, is this putty for sculpting or drawing? Putty usually makes me think of 3D work. My assumption is for drawing. I mean, it's so crumbly. I can't imagine you would be able to do, I mean, look at this. If I just hold it, like it's crumbling everywhere. I mean, I guess you could make a sculpture out of it, but I don't think it would have any structural integrity. I mean, look at that. It's super crumbly, not elastic at all, which for me isn't great for sculpture. Yeah, I'm shocked at how poorly it erases. Yeah, the kneaded eraser did like nothing. Although, On is also saying a lot lighter though. Okay, let's try it a lot lighter. So this is a lighter section of it. But see, even on the Bristol, which is very smooth, it is still pretty textured. Okay, let me try the eraser. Okay, so that's nice and smooth. Okay, so there, if it's a very light gray, you can erase it, but you know something? I had to press really hard. And it doesn't have this nice sharp edge that I really like in the graphite powder. This to me, it's almost like, I mean, I would erase, but it's not that effective. So I feel like the eraser is not really something I would be that excited about. Here, I get really excited about the eraser marks. Yeah, me too, Dusty. No erasing is a deal breaker. So I think what I would probably do, and I'll do it in a few minutes, is I would use this, the wet part, to do more of the drawing part. And then I probably would go in with graphite powder to do these lights. I don't think I would do it for this. I think I would use this as the putty and then do the light sections like this. And this I would have to know in advance just that that's an investment in those marks. And those are marks that I'm not going to be erasing very much. Oh, Courtney says you can shape it and use it to stamp stamps. Oh, I would assume they'd have to be really small because, well, I guess if you had like a little piece of wood and you could push the putty inside, but I still would worry about it crumbling. It's just really, really crumbly. Oh, yes. This isn't even as bad as it's going to get. I mean, I washed my hands. Pagarami says, I would just stick with graphite powder personally for almost everything since it's so soft and airy, but those marks with the water are kind of calling out to me. I mean, I do like the intensity of this. This is really nice, but the thing is, I let wet charcoal better. Between the two, I'm not so sold on this entirely. I mean, again, I would have to spend more time with it, but just the crumbling part is enough for me to go, ugh, I'd rather use something else. Yes, it is water soluble. So if you guys look at this stroke, this is me putting a wet brush through it. This is also sort of wet. So I guess if I wanted to do something really gestural and harsh, that probably would be a better fit. Like I wouldn't use this if you wanted to do something very light and delicate. Just stylistically, I don't think it works great. Janice says, I'd like to use it. However, while I don't mind getting my hands dirty, I think this is a studio rather than a kitchen table medium. Yeah, I never worked on my kitchen table because it's just not that big. Our kitchen is really small. So living room, coffee table works best for me. Okay, you guys ready to see Wolverine? Because actually, despite my Hugh Jackman obsession, I've never done a drawing of Wolverine before. And by the way, Wolverine won the community poll between him and Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead, which I get it. Deadpool and Wolverine is out right now. Tell me in the chat who saw that movie. Yes, I saw it opening weekend, and me and my kid have a date to go see it again. Okay, so this is the image I'm going to use, and the link to this image is in the YouTube video description below. Anybody who wants to draw along with me. What I did with this image is I actually brightened it, because if it's too dark, you can't get those angsty Wolverine eyebrow wrinkles. And so I do that sometimes. And what ends up happening is I get an image which doesn't have very rich darks, but it does show me details like the hair, which would be far too dark and I wouldn't be able to see things. Okay, let's try it. I'm a little nervous. I feel like it's sort of hard. I don't know. It's not the same as drawing Aaron to me. He's just so theatrical. Okay, I'm going to start. Let's use this General's. I think this is just a graphite stick. Yeah. I like using this better than the pencil because this stick, it helps me be a lot looser. With this, I tend to tighten up a little bit. So I will use the woodless pencil, but I want to map things out here first. So for me, a big part of it is the sequence of materials. I will say, though, I do think Wolverine is the perfect subject for something really harsh and gritty looking. So let's just block in super simple general shape. And you can see from the marks, I'm not really drawing lines. It's more an approximation. I mean, it really sometimes when I start a portrait feels like I'm just feeling the paper. And that is good for me to be able to approximate those things. Got to make sure I leave enough room for the hair. And a big part of Wolverine, as you guys know, is his very hunched shoulders because he's very angry a lot of the time. Who here grew up with X-Men? Because when those movies came out in like 2001, it was such a big deal. And the thing is, now I look at superhero movies and they're just so different. Like those old X-Men movies, they really feel sort of antique because they didn't have as many special effects. And so it was a very different look. I mean, now the movies have so many special effects. I think it's a little bit overkill. Okay, he needs a bigger forehead. So I am looking for, okay, the connection between the forehead and also, of course, his super intense. And yes, every time I open Instagram or TikTok, there's like new Deadpool and Wolverine stuff. It's like very time consuming. Like this is taking up a lot of time. And so actually now I'm like, I don't even check social media during the day because inevitably some Wolverine video comes out and I'm like, oh, I have to watch this. It's very dangerous. Okay, so you can see his head is starting to emerge. And you know something, the shape of his hair, it's sort of weird in this photo. It's not very... So actually what I did, I do have another picture here where you can see his little spots. And so I might just take some of those strokes and stick them in here. Because actually his hair is pretty funny in the Deadpool movies. It's very different than some of his other pieces. So does everybody see how mushy the drawing starts out? I actually do want some indication. I also think it's hilarious that he's wearing the yellow outfit for once, because he didn't for a really long time. And I'm just going to do a small indication of the collar. I'm not going to do much beyond that. In fact, I might raise his shoulders to make him even more intense. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so that's actually higher than what the image looks like, but I feel like it really works, that type of stance. Okay, so here I'm starting to get more specific. I'm starting to put in, like, here's the jawbone. Get the chin in there. I do really need to get the placement of the nose better, though, so let's get... And these parts, these folds, those are very important structurally, because everything you do in a drawing, in the beginning, it's all an approximation. Like, people will say to me, oh, I didn't get it right. It's like, no, you're not trying to get it right. You're trying to say, oh, it's about here. And then you look at that line and you say, oh, no, actually, it's about here. Put the mouth in. This is going to be hard. The expression is so exaggerated. But you can see even here, I'm starting to do a little bit of tone for the chin. Very, very light. I like to get in the tone sooner rather than later. And by the way, if Hugh Jackman is not your crush, which I don't know what's wrong with you, who is your celebrity crush? He is like Tom Hardy. I'm like, no, not at all. Maybe it's just because I saw him in Mad Max and he was kind of boring, but I feel like that wasn't his fault. I feel like that was more just the story line was like that, because his character was not that important. He was more like a supplement. Charlize Theron definitely carried that movie. Okay, now I want to get the upper eyelids. I always do those first so I can place the pupils. I have a feeling I'm not exaggerating these eyebrows enough. So let's just push them up a little higher. Everything you're doing in a drawing, it's all an adjustment, tweaking. So what I suggest to people is, listen, don't judge yourself. Don't look at your drawing and say to yourself, oh, it's bad, or I failed, or I'm not good at drawing. Like, those kinds of thoughts, I understand. We all have those thoughts, but they really don't help you. They're just stressful. So actually, I'm sort of curious, and this is not necessarily a bad thing. Who here finds drawing stressful? Who here finds it just pure fun and joy? And how many people is sort of like in between? I don't find it stressful, but I also don't find it fun. Like, to me, drawing is not fun. It's engaging and it's stimulating, but not much more than that. I don't draw for fun. I mean, I guess if I was at the zoo drawing monkeys, I would have fun. But if I'm making work that has a destination, yeah, I mean, I'm feeling a little pressure here because I'm like, I never drew him. And it's a little stressful because everybody knows Wolverine, including me. Yeah, has anybody here consuming all the Wolverine content? Oh my God, it's so out of control. Like him and Ryan Reynolds, they're so cute together. And it's just, oh, it's just the greatest thing. Like, he's been posting on Instagram so much, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't take this. Okay, let's take a quick break to look at comments. And actually, I need to take a photo because I know a lot of people appreciate that. So give me 1 second. I just want to get a quick photo. All right, there we go. And by the way, everybody, in case you missed it, fall workshop registration is due this Friday. This is your opportunity to work with me and a small group of students, no more than 12, intensively for 2 weeks. You get 2 weeks of written feedback in the Discord, and you get a 3-hour live session. So this really is a 2-week experience. It's not just the live session, and I really get to know people in a way that for me is just the best thing. Okay, let's see what else people are talking about. Cool Artsy says, it's great to play around with and just experiment. I like using water-soluble pastels or these brands with water-soluble colors with it. Regular charcoal is water-soluble. Yeah, I love wet charcoal. And we do have a stream on that. Actually, we have 2. So if you want to find those, just go to YouTube and type in Art Prof wet charcoal. You'll find it. Yes. Oh my God. Wolverine just like gets to me. Okay, what's your favorite Wolverine scene ever across any X-Men movie? I think for me, it's an X-Men 2. He's in that white shirt tank top, and he like jumps off the staircase and screams. Oh my God, the way he lands. Saw it twice. Okay, you're ahead of me. Oh, so Berolina did some research. They say the putty's consistency is to be adjusted by adding water. They suggest to add some water and knead it to adjust to the desired consistency. Oh, let me try that. I wonder if that is going to get rid of the crumbly thing that I don't like. But see, I feel like I shouldn't have to do that. I feel like the putty should be less crumbly. I don't know. Like I don't want to do that much work for my art supplies. I'm going to add just like a lot of water. I mean, maybe, it's still very crumbly, and I already added a lot of water. Oh my God, this is horrible. I mean, I guess if I had like a mortar and pestle, but see, it's so inconsistent though. That's the thing, is I'm doing this, but it's like lumpy and weird. Like it's not that easy to get to a smooth consistency. Yeah, I feel like I need a mortar and pestle. Oh my God. So basically what I'm seeing is that, yes, you can do that, but it's difficult. This does not, I mean, I'd have to sit down and like really do it. But it still has, like, it doesn't have a lot of body or elasticity to it the way I would expect a kneaded eraser to have. I was really hoping it would have that consistency. Okay, so it's getting a little softer, but it's still falling apart. Like, this is not... Ugh. I mean, maybe I just had the wrong expectations for this material. Ugh. Oh my God, that is really horrific. Gross. Okay, I'm gonna wash my hands for a minute so I can read the rest of the comments. Oh my God. I just watched... Okay, who's a Walking Dead fan? I have another hot white man added to my roster, Rick Grimes. But I just watched an episode yesterday where there was like a sewer with zombies in it, and they look like this. This is definitely a zombie hand, if you ask me. Anna's asking, can you erase charcoal? It's been a long time since I worked with it. You can. The difference is that different charcoals don't erase to the same degree. For example, if you are using vine charcoal, that erases extremely well. But if you're using compressed, it erases, but only to a point. You won't be able to get it back to the white of the page the way you would if it was vine charcoal. Oh my God, I don't know what to do with myself, Pavarami. Okay, we've got Wolverine in Deadpool Wolverine. Aaron Tveit is back in Moulin Rouge, and I've got 5 seasons of The Walking Dead to watch. Fortunately, well, sort of, Benedict Cumberbatch hasn't been doing very much. It's giving me a little bit of a break. Henry Cavill. Everybody tries to get me on Henry Cavill, and it just hasn't happened yet. Okay, Andrew Garfield. He's cute, but that's it. Shinny says drawing is stressful at the start, fun when I'm done. Oh, it's always fun when you're done. I forget who it was. Somebody said that they don't like writing, but they like writing when it's done. It is something like that. Maybe somebody here knows who said that. Kate McKinnon, Rachel Maddow, Patti Smith, Tilda Swinton. Oh, I love Tilda Swinton. Oh my God. She is so amazing. I have heard actually, because I knew somebody who worked with her on a movie, that she's the sweetest person. That's awesome. That's what Anna says. Okay, let's get back into this. I'm going to do a little bit more work with the stick. And then I think I'm going to just like dive in like crazy. So I think really what I need right now is we need some serious action up here. So I'm going to start pressing harder. And I'm going to start blocking out just larger areas. I mean, I have to say, Hugh Jackman has aged very well. He's just going to stay amazing the whole time. Because not all actors age well. I mean, it's not their fault. George Clooney has aged very well. And yeah, I mean, Hugh Jackman will never not be perfect for me. Okay, so I'm also applying a lot more physical pressure. You could see in the early stages, I really was not putting down a lot of pressure. I was staying pretty light, but now I'm going to start to dig in a little bit more. I'm going to pull out his chin. His chin is a pretty important aspect. And he's got these huge pockets on the side of his mouth. And if this comes out good, I'm going to give it to my kid because my kid is really into Wolverine too. I am very proud of my child. Like, I taught you well. I taught you to have good taste in celebrities. Although, I think I set up my kid to do that because we watched so many X-Men movies when they were kids. So I think I embedded that early on into their childhood. I know it's funny, my kid is really into 80s stuff and is quite jealous that I got to be alive when all that amazing 80s stuff is coming out, like Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder. And so tell me, who are your favorite musicians? Because my child is convinced that there aren't any good ones. I don't have time to look into it, so I'm not going to make any calls about who's what. This eye needs to get bigger. I mean, I feel like this portrait is easier to do because it's just super exaggerated. I think some portraits are very difficult because the faces are very subtle, or even faces that are very smooth, I find are very difficult to do. Okay, he's definitely not wide enough. I feel like his head needs to be a lot wider. And then maybe over here, it's a little hard to see because he's got this shadow underneath. Okay, and I need to get back to the shoulders because I sort of neglected them. And again, just thinking about shape. That's all I'm doing. Because the shape is so critical. Gosh, it's been a long time since I've done a draw-along of a portrait. Recently, I've been doing a lot of landscape stuff because I was in Hawaii, and that's what you do when you're in Hawaii. But I feel like a lot of our portrait draw-alongs are from a little ways back because we've just been so busy doing so many things. I think his forehead is too big. Let's fix that. I think it's a little up higher. So it's just constant adjustments. By the way, everybody, I got a really cool thing coming in September. I can't wait to share it with you. It's going to be so cool. some really just sharp, visible lines, and then just toning in some of that color. And let's bring back this one spot of his uniform has this one like V shape that I think is pretty important. I'm going to pull that out. And I think the rest I don't really have space for. Here too, I'm going to do a more latent. All right, time to take a step back. I do think his mouth is too high. So now it's time for adjustments. I told my kid that I would make them some Wolverine fan art. So if this one comes out good, maybe they'll accept it. See, I think he's got more chin than I think. So you guys can see it's just constant tweaking. I think sometimes we have the expectation that we should be able to get everything done in one go, but nobody can do that. I don't know anybody who is like that. There's just such a strong evaluation period. I'm not doing enough with the eyes. I feel like this hairline is pretty critical, so let's knock that in. All right, let's take a photo, and then I think the next step, I'm ready to start adding some of that putty. Okay, let's see what people are saying in the chat. Creative says, fun and joy in drawing, but the putting color down stresses me out. Oh, color is intimidating. I struggled for so long with color, and I still do. It's not a very natural or intuitive skill for me. I really had to like work on it. For me, value and contrast, those are things that for me feel very intuitive, but definitely not color. Yes, I do the same thing, Pagarami, except for me, it's Benedict Cumberbatch movies. I can't do that with The Walking Dead, though, because you have to be focused on the visuals. Graf's, oh my God. When his hair got long in season 3, I just lost it. Okay, so Uncle, the movie that won me with Henry Cavill, everybody's like, oh, watch The Witcher. I tried. I don't think it's a good show, in my opinion. I know some people really like it, but I was like, ugh, this is not my cup of tea. On the other hand, I'm not big on fantasy. I mean, sometimes, but it's not my cup of tea most of the time. Anna says, I find the end of a project more challenging than the beginning. In the beginning, you have so many possibilities. The end is exciting too. It's the middle that's the most frustrating. Oh, yeah. I mean, the middle is when you get frustrated. In the beginning, it's so obvious what needs to be done because there's nothing there. But the middle is where I think a lot of people do struggle. Cool. So we've got On drawing along, and Pagarami is woodblock printing along. Awesome. Okay. Woo. Let's just go for it. Let's go crazy with the putty and see what happens. Okay, this is not water, at least I don't think it is. Let me just, yeah, okay, so this is not water soluble, although I just made a mess. Clean that up. I don't really want that to be there. I mean, it's a little bit, but it's not like the other stuff. But I think what I want to do, I just want to put like a little sprinkle. Actually, I wish I had like a mister or something. But I'm going to make it a little wet. And actually, I'm going to make this my palette. So I think what I'm going to do... Oh, whoa! You know something? This one really softened up. Oh, but it's still crumbling. Ugh. I thought maybe if the water settled, it would be okay. But so I guess I would soften it. I think what I would probably do is get a mortar and pestle, one I didn't care about, and mix a lot in there. Because I do like it softer, but it's still not my favorite thing. Okay, let's try this. Okay, I'm going to do, because I'm going to work on his eyebrows. I really want to get those in because it's such an important part of his character. And so actually, this is sort of nice that I can block in a couple things with some water. Okay. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is just mix that up a little bit. Okay, you guys ready? It's time for some serious eyebrows. I mean, I'm going to go dark with this. It's not wet enough. I think I need to like really, really wet it. I mean, I also think my paper is a little bit too coarse, but let's see what happens when I go in. Okay, so I put some putty down there, but let me see what happens if I loosen that up. And if I go in here and I start brushing it around, actually, let me get a different brush. I feel like that brush is a little bit too soft. But yeah, it's more like a painting at this point. That's kind of fun. It's sort of like painting and drawing. So I guess if I put it down and then I move it around like this, I'm just basically taking water and I'm just dipping my hand into that. And a lot of finger painting. So it's not great when I'm trying to control my marks. Like it sort of puts down a blob, but it doesn't really make like a stroke. I feel like if I want a stroke, I definitely need the brush to do that for me. Yeah, over here, there's a really dark spot down here. So let's lock that in. I want to do something really painterly because, you know, most of the time superheroes, they're drawn in a very realistic way, but that's not really my favorite thing. Okay, so down here, I'm going to add some graphite pencil because I want to really get some of that in there. Okay, let's get more of the putty. So what I'm going to do right now is I've just taken water and I've just mixed it around. I feel like this would be really good for his hair. Let's get some tasty strokes. This is super messy. Oh my God. It's getting everywhere. I mean, his hair is kind of perfect for this. It's so rugged. Well, I think I got his shape in there. I feel like it's not wide enough. I feel like... Okay, let's get in the brush some more. I want to start moving some of these strokes around. This is really messy though. Like, not really my cup of tea. But we'll make it work. Definitely is a lot of texture here. I think I want to pull some of this down. So we get more. I mean, he does have a lot of like stuff on his suit. His suit is pretty messy. Okay, and now I'm just going to go in, loosen some of this up. Okay, let's take a quick photo so I can document what it is we're looking at. Yeah, I like the way it goes with the brush, but honestly, I like wet charcoal better. I just am not feeling it quite yet. I think we need... Let me try just this stick. I want to get some harsher strokes. I feel like it got a little mushy. I don't really want that. So now I'm pressing pretty hard. A lot of pressure. Ugh, it doesn't really mix very well with this stuff. It just looks like a mess. So this is a chance for me to go in and articulate more things. I like having those harsher strokes. Gosh, his beard is so much bigger than I think it is. Oh, shoot. I think he's not wide enough over here. Let's see what happens if I try to lift it. I don't think it's going to work that well. Yeah, that's not good. That didn't work well at all. Oh, man. See, now it's really hard to erase because I can tell this is, oh, man, this is really dark. Okay, it just seems to be getting darker the longer. I mean, I had to like rub and it's still really dark. Because I definitely messed up this part over here. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm mostly finding it pretty frustrating as a material. And I think I'm going to go back to the general stuff. Let's give him a nose. He definitely needs a nose. I love Hugh Jackman's nose. It's just perfect. Just like everything like him. So I would say it's not very good if you really want to articulate things. So I'm using it more just to toss in some tone, but not much more than that. Also depends on how you're drawing. I mean, for me, I really like marks. And I know for some people, they like things to be really smooth. So maybe this would be better if you're somebody who likes to draw very smooth. But not me. I'm not finding that to be that exciting. Let's do a little more brush. A little more. I feel like he doesn't have enough of a head. Oh, he's too tall. See, this is why I want to be able to erase. Like, there's just not a lot of options at this point if I can't erase things. Ugh. Like, here is the spot where I definitely would want to erase, but it's not giving me that opportunity. Yeah, not really a fan. Okay, well, at the very least, he has an outfit. And I really have not drawn a lot lately. That trip to Boston, I loved it, but I don't know, it just really, really took a lot out of me for some reason. The shooting was really intense. Not so much at my friend's print shop so much, but some of the other stuff that I'm not going to tell you about just yet really took a lot out of me. Oh gosh, this is so much lower. Made it way too high. Dude, I think he's got some bullet holes here. Look at this. Let's add his bullet holes. Awesome. He really does have the best power, if you ask me. Okay, so I'm pushing crazy hard right now, you guys. It's really, really hard. And I do like some of this, but you know something, the parts that I'm liking are the parts that were not the kneaded eraser. I mean, the charcoal putty. Okay, he definitely needs some eyes. Let's get that in there. See, like the stuff I'm doing right now, no chance that I could ever do that with the graphite putty. Like, this is all got to be the graphite stick. Ugh, I'm going to be so embarrassed if this turns out really bad. It's really hard to draw people who are super recognizable. Who here has done portraits of people who are very famous? And did you find it difficult, or was it extra fun because you know so well who they are? Because sometimes I think it's a lot of pressure. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think freelance illustration is so difficult, is because if you're doing a portrait of somebody who's really well known, there's pressure to be like, it doesn't look like Taylor Swift or whoever. Ugh, there's so many things I want to fix about this, and I just can't do it. Like, the erasing thing is really getting to me right now. So I exaggerated his eyebrows a lot, but I am finding that quite necessary for his character. It's getting really dark, you guys. Like, this is not fun for me. Now I can erase. Who here likes erasing with their stuff? Because I feel like I like erasing more than I do actually putting down the marks with charcoal. Like, see, this is way too dark, and now I can't get rid of it. Ugh, I hate drawing teeth. By the way, who here likes drawing portraits? I love drawing portraits, but I like drawing them when I can actually like, erase things. This is so hard. I think it just needs more line work. And probably, yeah, it's hard because a lot of this is facial hair, but I didn't leave a lot of space to add the texture of the facial hair, so I'm just going to go in right now and make that look a little more facial hair-like. And up here too. Okay, time for the teeth. Not my favorite thing to draw, because I think they always look kind of awkward. I think the key with teeth is you just can't draw them all. You have to more like hint at them. Oh god, it's like Wolverine with a bad dental problem. This is bad. Let's try a little bit of erasing, because I totally lost his mouth. Oh god. Okay, that's a little bit better. I lost his mouth too, but this is a struggle. I mean, this is not easy doing all this stuff. It really was the mouth I was really missing. Oh god, that looks really bad. What's up with his mouth? Is so bad. Needs to be rounder and wider. Ugh. So that for me is sort of a deal breaker, that it is very difficult to make adjustments to this. Wolverine, I'm sorry, you have a bad dental problem. Oh my god, it's so bad, you guys. It's really, really bad. I need more marks, but I have to press down like so hard to get that. I'm going to do a little bit of erasing. Let me see if I can get that to work a little bit better. Oh, you know something? I'm getting a lot of glare on this. Give me 1 second. I'm going to adjust my lamp, and I think we won't get so much glare. That's one thing I don't like about graphite is that you do get a lot of glare, which makes it difficult to see what you're doing. Yeah, that didn't help that much. Oh, maybe if I... Oh, but then it's distorted. Sorry. Okay, let's try it like this. Okay, let's just see if I can get anywhere. Oh, God, not at all. Jeez. It's doing some erasing, but it's so crazy uneven. Then again, I feel this is a very good drawing style for Wolverine. This is definitely who he is. No, it's hard. He's got like a really wide face. I feel determined to make this not embarrassing. Might be something I have to fix later for my kid. I know my kid is very critical. Both my kids are. They're like, this is this. I'm like, well, this is what happens when, as a parent, you are critiquing artwork in the wild, which I always do. By the way, you know what my kid said to me the other day? I think we were watching, we were watching The Walking Dead. And so my kid said to me, why do you know every single artwork in every movie that we watch? Because we were watching The Walking Dead and there was a WPA poster in the background. And my kid was like, oh, what's that? I'm like, oh, it's Works in Progress Administration. It was this campaign by the government in the 19 somethings. And I just found that very funny. There's another, I forget, I think it might have been Brideshead Revisited, but there was another one where they had this like Raphael altarpiece. Oh, I remember the other reference. So I was watching The Walking Dead. Does anybody here know the governor? He's a jerk in The Walking Dead. And so there was a Caravaggio painting in the background, and it was the boy holding a basket of grapes. I was very excited about that. Okay. I really, really need some highlights up here. Like really, really, really. Because his nose kind of disappeared. Okay, some erasure, but I think this is not the graphite putty up here. I'm pretty sure this was just the plain graphite. It's working a little, but mostly because I didn't cover everything with the graphite. Okay, I really, really need this. Oh, but it's a struggle. This is not easy. I mean, I'm pressing so hard. I don't know if you guys can tell, but my drawing board is like rattling. Oh my God. I mean, for me, that's really hard. I generally press kind of hard, but this is pretty bad. I do think this drawing style fits him, though. What do people think about that? This is definitely not an Aaron Tveit style. He's just so pretty. Let's make the lip a little thinner. I think it got too long. I wish I had my eraser stick here, because I could add some of the facial hair a little better. I don't know. I feel like this image is getting more and more out of control. Of course, now we need to post this on Instagram, and we need to see if we can get Wolverine to repost it. That is very important here. Actually, let's do more on the shoulder. I feel like if I make the shoulder more pronounced, okay, a couple more highlights. And then I think I'm going to let it rest a little bit before I go back and do more. Oh, lost all his eyelids here. Oh my God, I can't. Yeah, this is going to take some serious work to pull back some of those highlights. I just really wish I could get them in here. Like, this is just not happening. All right, let's see. We have a couple questions from Trietha, who says, can the putty be lifted with water? You can lift it, but it's very messy. So for those of you guys who missed this, if you have a significant amount, you can take this and lift it. So it seems like it doesn't really have any dry time. You really can use this like a brush. But again, it's like I don't like the sheen of graphite. I'd so much rather do charcoal. Oh, this is really bothering me. I can't leave this alone. It just doesn't have enough of his head here. I just need to expand that. Of course, now I'm getting a little picky. It's hard to not be picky with portraits. I just find that they bring out my pickiest self. Oh, I'm missing his facial hair. Okay, so there's actually a little bit more skin here. Yeah, I like his facial hair being kind of sloppy. A little more. Ugh. Yikes. This is like the messiest drawing I've done in such a long time. Oh my gosh, I totally lost his ear. His ear is like all the way up here. Oh, that's better. Oh, I'm so glad I added the ear. It really helps the face. Yeah, I think I need to do some major eraser stick work here later on. Okay, so do you guys think I can get Hugh Jackman to repost this? If he did, I would die. Oh my God. This is like muscle. This is like a workout, you guys. Okay. Okay, he's definitely not done, but I think that's as far as I'm gonna get today. So remember, you can join me in the Discord because I'm going to be posting better photos so you can see the drawing more up close. And now I feel like I have to finish it for my kid. Join our Patreon group. This is a really great opportunity. It's $20 a month. You can share your art in weekly voice sessions with staff. I write very long, comprehensive critiques. And most of all, you can make art friends. Join our Open Studios Club. This is a really fun casual hangout on voice where you can work on your personal projects and make lots of artist connections. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.